What's up, guys? This is Brett from Mahalo Video Games. I'm here joined by Wesley Bunn, designer on UFC Undisputed 3, and the legend, Royce Gracie, right here.
How you doing, man?
I'm good. How are you?
Good, good.
So what can you tell us about this year's revision of UFC?
Well, UFC Undisputed 3 is the next iteration of the UFC Undisputed franchise. It is 5 years long worth of development. We've started with UFC 2009, UFC 2010. UFC 3 is the game that we all wanted to make. We're all MMA fans. We all grew up watching MMA, love MMA, and it's just a joy to work on this game. The big things that we could talk about for UFC 3 is the combat. We introduced a new mechanic called Finish the Fight. So you go into the ref, pulls you off. There is no more one hitter quitters. You have to get in there and finish the fight until the ref pulls you off. Another thing we introduced this year is an alternate control scheme. For the guys who just want to pick it up and have fun knocking each other out, playing with legends like Mr. Royce Gracie here, you can get in there and just use the alternate control scheme. So it's easy. It's just flicking up and flicking down on the right stick allows you to perform the transitions in the game. And one of the other big announcements that we are happy to make here at E3 is the inclusion of the Pride Fighting Championship. So if you're not familiar with what Pride is, I'm not going to get into it. You just got to go watch some DVDs because I can't put it into words. That's how good it is. Maybe Royce can tell you about some of it because he fought in Pride too.
So do you think that the inclusion of Pride rules, head kicks, soccer kicks, all that makes a big difference to the game, like making it more realistic and authentic?
More toys for the crowd to play with. Yeah. I mean, on the beginning, it was a quest for my family. So we started with no rules, no gloves, no time limit, no weight division. Then moving into Pride, they kind of put a little bit of rules, so it was still a free-for-all out there, man. I mean, the time limit was longer, there was no weight division, and then they settled with the set of rules that it is now. They became a job. Now it's like you can watch on the Ultimate Royce Gracie, you can see the beginning of the fights with no gloves, like I said, no weight division, no time limit, and now they have all the set rules that became worldwide. Now it became like a job. The kids get up in the morning, it's like, hey, I want to be a UFC fighter one day.
So this is more giving the full experience of the MMA and the history behind it all with the inclusion of Pride.
It's the Pride, yes. It's I mean, UFC started before Pride, but UFC was still a little raw, let's say, on the beginning. And then Pride created some rules. UFC got those rules, made it better.
So do you think that the soccer kicks and head stomping is a real game changer?
Yeah, but I mean, it became a, on Pride there's more toys, more tools to play with. You can play, there's more stuff that you can do, more tricks, let's say.
Speaking about the new control schemes, do you think that's a good way of bringing in new players that might have been turned away by some of the ground controls and all of the more complicated control schemes?
Definitely. I mean, we're all fighting game fans, but we also have friends that are just kind of casual MMA fans, but just like to pick up, UFC or watch UFC, pick up the UFC game and play it. What we found is that people had problems when it went to the ground. They didn't know how to do the transitions on the ground, and we knew players were getting frustrated with that, so we wanted to make it a little bit easier and offer an alternate control scheme. So it's just flicking up and flicking down will allow you to perform those transitions. If you want to keep the what we call the pro controls, those allow you to perform the same motions as UFC 2010, and it also allows you to fake your transitions. That'll get your opponent to try and counter. So there is some advantages to playing with the pro controls. The amateur controls, what we're tentatively calling them, those are just flicking up and down, so you can't kind of fake your transition. So there is more control with the pros.
Can you say, like, give us an idea of how many more moves have been added to the game?
Well, considering I was just working on moves lists the other day, it's pretty exhaustive. We went back to the drawing board. We wanted to add more unique moves per fighter. We wanted to add more fighter navigation styles, so we brought in guys like Frank Mir, Nate Diaz, Kendall Grove, Matt Hughes. I can't even remember. There's a bunch of guys that we brought in for mocap to get their navigations down. And then in terms of moves, we do a lot of research. We're all fight fans. We watch every UFC. We have the entire library. So if you've seen a move happen in the UFC, chances are it's going to be in the game. Except for the twister, unfortunately. I know Eddie Bravo will kill me because I've trained with Eddie at his school down in Hollywood, and I know he'll kill me, but we'll get it in there, Eddie, I promise.
So is it safe to say that Anderson Silva's front kick heard around the world will be in the game?
Oh yes, most definitely. He's got it.
Okay, and can you speak at all about the roster? Like, know that Strikeforce was acquired by UFC. Has that changed your plans for included characters at all?
A little bit. Well, in addition to the Strikeforce, there's obviously the new weight classes. So you have the WEC weight classes, the feather and bantam weights, which adds a whole new dynamic with the guys like Jose Aldo, Uriah Faber. One of the things, actually, I mentioned it, one of the things that we did with the combat, we wanted to give a sense of movement speed per division. So the lighter guys are going to move faster than the heavier guys. Heavier guys are going to be stronger. So at heavyweight, you'll see more knockouts than you will at feather and bantam weights. It still happens, but back to your question about the roster, it's 150 fighters. So anybody you can possibly think of is probably on our roster.
And will there still be a deep creative character too?
Without going into too much detail, yes, that's another mode that I've been working on. We went back to the drawing board on that. I can say we included fighter entrances this year, so you'll be able to customize your entrance, pick your lighting for your walkout, pick your motion, pick your walkout gear, pick what your guys are doing behind you, all that good stuff.
That sounds great. And will we still have the same presentation with Joe Rogan doing the commentary? I know that Bas Rutten will be doing for the Pride mode.
Wasn't quite sure if we had officially announced that yet, but yes, we will have. I didn't want to, especially with my PR lady walking in. So yeah, we will have Joe Rogan and Mike Goldberg does return. We recorded a ton of new dialogue with them, got them in the booth. We also chop up a lot of the UFC broadcast, so what you hear in broadcast actually gets put into the game, so you're hearing authentic calls. That's something not done in many sports games out there. But yeah, Bas Rutten and Mauro Ranallo would be, not Mauro, sorry, Stefan Quattros. Oh, tongue twister there. Stefan Quattros, yeah, the fight professor, he'll be in there.
And will you be doing any roster updates like throughout the life of this game, like not just balancing, but maybe new characters in DLC?
That's something that we're always looking to do. We did roster updates last year, stat updates. We did some DLC. Those are definitely in the plans for UFC 3. I would say above and beyond. Can't go into too much detail, but yeah, definitely something that we're looking at doing.
All right. So the game drops in January, is that right?
January 2012, Xbox and PS3.